Ladies and gentlemen, every woman may seem strong, independent, and in control of her emotions. But beneath that strength lies a heart full of softness, desires, and silent vulnerabilities that only the right man can understand. To truly connect with a woman, you must go beyond what she shows the world and learn what she silently feels. A woman's weaknesses are not flaws. They are hidden windows to her soul. When a man learns them not to exploit, but to understand and protect, he unlocks a level of love most men never reach. The first weakness lies in her need for emotional safety. A woman may handle the world alone, but deep down, she longs for someone who makes her feel safe enough to let her guard down. When a man listens without judgment and stays consistent through her storms, she begins to trust. And once she trusts, she loves deeply and endlessly. Her heart doesn't open through force. It opens through peace. The second weakness is genuine attention. Every woman notices when a man truly sees her, not just her beauty, but her moods, her tone, her silence. She craves the kind of attention that says, "I notice you even when you're not saying a word." The right kind of attention feeds her soul more than compliments or gifts ever could. Third, every woman has a weakness for emotional intelligence, a man who can read her energy without her having to explain. When he senses her pain, respects her space, or comforts her without asking for anything in return, she sees him differently. She doesn't fall for words, she falls for presence. The fourth weakness is consistency. A woman feels deeply, and she attaches not through intensity, but through reliability. When a man's actions match his words over time, her heart begins to rest. Consistency tells her she can depend on him, and that dependence builds emotional intimacy. The fifth weakness is romantic vulnerability. She may pretend she doesn't care about little gestures, but a simple act of affection, a handwritten note, or a thoughtful touch melts even the strongest woman. Romance is not about grand gestures. It's about the quiet ways a man reminds her that she's still worth choosing every single day. And finally, her sixth weakness is respect. Every woman needs to feel valued beyond her looks, her body, or her role. When a man respects her opinions, her boundaries, and her ambitions, she feels seen as a person, not a possession. Respect turns attraction into admiration, and admiration into loyalty. So if you truly wish to win a woman's heart, stop chasing her body and start understanding her soul. Her weaknesses are sacred. They are not for every man to see. But when you become the man who sees, protects, and values those weaknesses, you don't just capture her attention. You capture her forever. A woman's weaknesses reveal what she truly values: emotional safety, attention, and understanding. These are not signs of fragility, but reflections of her emotional depth. Every woman, no matter how strong she appears, carries a quiet longing to be felt, not just seen. Emotional safety is the foundation of that longing. It is the invisible space where she feels she can be her true self, unfiltered, imperfect, and vulnerable without the fear of being judged, rejected, or misunderstood. When a man provides emotional safety, he gives her permission to breathe. It's not about solving her problems or rescuing her from pain. It's about standing beside her in silence when words fail, holding space for her emotions, and letting her know that her feelings matter. She doesn't need someone to fix her. She needs someone to make her feel that she's not alone in what she feels. Attention is another language of love that many men underestimate. Women notice details not because they are controlling, but because they connect through observation. When a man pays attention to her, not just her words, but her pauses, her tone, her energy, she feels seen in ways the world rarely offers. True attention is not about being physically present, but emotionally aware. It's remembering the things she says in passing, noticing when she's quieter than usual, or catching the small changes she thought no one would notice. To a woman, attention equals value. It tells her that she's not invisible, that her emotions are not too much, and that someone actually cares enough to listen between her words. That kind of attention makes her soften. It allows her to lower her guard because she finally feels she doesn't have to compete for significance. Understanding goes even deeper. It's the art of empathy. A woman desires a man who can understand her without making her explain every emotion. Understanding is not always about agreement. Sometimes it's simply the willingness to see things through her eyes. When she's upset, she doesn't always want logic. She wants validation. When she's afraid, she doesn't want to be told to be strong. She wants to know that someone will stand by her even in her fear. The man who listens not to reply, but to feel what she's feeling becomes the one she trusts the most. That trust is not easily earned because many women have built emotional armor from past disappointments. But when understanding replaces judgment, she starts to believe again. She realizes that love doesn't always have to hurt or be earned through struggle. It can exist in peace, in patience, and in presence. These three: emotional safety, attention, and understanding, are the unseen weaknesses that define a woman's heart. They are not superficial desires, but emotional necessities that help her flourish. Without emotional safety, she withdraws. Without attention, she feels forgotten. Without understanding, she feels misunderstood, even when loved. A man who learns these truths sees her not as a mystery to be solved, but as a soul to be cherished. He knows that her weaknesses are not points of control, but opportunities for connection. He doesn't take advantage of her softness. He protects it. He realizes that the more he understands her emotions, the more she reveals the depth of her love. When a woman feels emotionally safe, she opens her world. When she feels genuinely seen, she gives her trust. And when she feels understood, she gives her heart. Her weaknesses are not her downfall, they are the map to her love. The man who recognizes that will discover that her true value lies not in her perfection, but in her emotional honesty. In understanding her weaknesses, he finds her strength, and in respecting them, he earns her devotion. Connection grows from emotional intelligence and consistency, not from charm or appearance. What truly draws a woman to a man is not how he looks or how smoothly he speaks, but how deeply he can feel, understand, and respond to her emotions. Emotional intelligence is the quiet power that makes a woman feel safe, heard, and valued. It's the ability to sense what lies behind her words, to notice her silence, and to understand that emotions are not weaknesses. They are signals that guide the heart. A man who has emotional intelligence doesn't compete to dominate. He connects to understand. He pays attention to emotional details, the small shifts in her mood, the energy behind her eyes, and the meaning in her tone. While charm may catch her attention, emotional intelligence keeps it because it shows maturity, empathy, and emotional presence, the things women crave far more than superficial attraction. Emotional intelligence allows a man to respond with calmness when emotions run high. He doesn't dismiss her feelings as drama or overreaction. Instead, he acknowledges them as real, valid, and human. He knows when to listen instead of defend, when to comfort instead of correct, and when silence speaks louder than words. This kind of awareness builds emotional intimacy, the invisible thread that ties two people together even without constant communication. A woman feels safe when she knows that her emotions won't be used against her, that her vulnerability won't be met with mockery or indifference. That safety becomes the soil where trust grows, and trust is the deepest root of connection, but emotional intelligence alone isn't enough. Connection also requires consistency. Consistency is the language of reliability, the proof that a man's words and actions are aligned. It's easy to show affection once, to say all the right things, and to make promises when the moment feels good. But it's what a man does repeatedly, even when it's inconvenient, that defines his character. Consistency tells a woman that he means what he says, that his feelings are not seasonal, and that she can count on him through both peace and chaos. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present. When he shows up every time, not just when it's easy, he becomes her emotional anchor in a world that often feels uncertain. Many relationships fail not because love is absent, but because consistency is. Without consistency, emotional intelligence loses its impact. A woman may appreciate empathy once, but she believes in it only when it's shown again and again. Words might charm her, but reliability earns her heart. It's the man who remembers to check on her after a hard day, who keeps his promises even when she's not watching, who treats her the same whether they're alone or in public. That man creates an unshakable bond. Consistency communicates devotion in a way that no grand gesture can match. It builds emotional security, the kind that allows love to deepen rather than fade with time. Charm can attract, but it fades once reality begins to unfold. Appearance can impress, but it cannot comfort, heal, or reassure. Emotional intelligence and consistency, however, endure. They sustain connection through misunderstandings, distance, and time. They allow love to evolve into partnership, where both people feel understood and valued for who they truly are. When a woman feels that her emotions are met with understanding and her heart is met with reliability, she gives her all. She no longer fears losing the connection because she knows it's built on something real, empathy and commitment. True connection doesn't grow in the excitement of first attraction. It grows in the quiet moments when two people choose understanding over ego and consistency over convenience. A man who can master both emotional intelligence and consistency becomes more than a lover. He becomes a safe place, a home, and a partner in every sense of the word. And that is the kind of connection that doesn't just happen. It lasts. Respect is the ultimate key. When a man values her soul, not just her beauty, he earns her love, trust, and lifelong devotion. Every woman wants to feel beautiful, but what she truly craves is to be respected for the essence of who she is. Beauty may capture attention, but it's respect that captures the heart. A woman's soul holds her dreams, her fears, her resilience, and her truth. When a man sees beyond her physical appearance and acknowledges her spirit, her mind, and her emotions, he connects with her in a way that no surface-level attraction can achieve. Respect is not just about politeness or kind words. It's about how a man treats her when no one is watching, how he speaks about her when she's not in the room, and how he honors her individuality. Even when they disagree, when a woman feels respected, she feels safe to be herself. She doesn't have to shrink to fit into someone's expectations or silence her voice to keep the peace. A man who respects her will never use her weaknesses against her or make her feel small for her emotions. He listens to her opinions with interest, not impatience. He allows her to express her thoughts without interruption or mockery. That kind of respect creates emotional freedom, the space where love can grow without fear of judgment. A woman who feels free to be her true self will love deeply because she knows her love is rooted in acceptance, not performance. Respect also means recognizing her worth beyond what she can offer. Too often, women are valued for their appearance or for how much they give to others. But the man who respects her sees her value as constant, even when she has nothing to give. He doesn't love her only when she's smiling, composed, or at her best. He honors her even when she's tired, emotional, or uncertain. Respect sees the human before the role, the soul before the image. That's why when a woman finds a man who truly respects her, she doesn't just feel appreciated, she feels cherished. She knows that his love is grounded, not temporary or conditional. A man who values a woman's soul treats her as an equal partner, not as someone to control or compete with. He doesn't try to lead by dominance, but by understanding. He respects her independence, her ambitions, and her growth. Instead of feeling threatened by her strength, he celebrates it, knowing that her light doesn't dim his, it enhances it. Respecting her means supporting her dreams as much as his own, and never making her feel guilty for wanting more from life. This balance of mutual respect transforms relationships from mere companionship into powerful partnerships. Trust is born out of respect. When a woman knows that her heart is safe with a man who values her essence, she lets him in completely. She trusts him with her secrets, her flaws, and her hopes because she knows he won't use them as weapons. That trust deepens over time, forming a bond that can withstand distance, conflict, or hardship. Respect ensures that love doesn't turn into control and affection doesn't turn into manipulation. It keeps love pure and rooted in equality, and from that trust grows devotion, the kind of loyalty that cannot be bought, demanded, or forced. A respected woman becomes a devoted woman because she feels honored. She gives her heart fully to the man who sees her not as an object of desire, but as a reflection of grace, emotion, and depth. Her devotion isn't blind, it's earned. It's the result of feeling consistently valued for her inner world, not just her outer beauty. When a man respects a woman's soul, he unlocks the truest form of love, a love that is stable, peaceful, and lifelong. Respect is not the end of love, it's the beginning of it. Without it, attraction fades and words lose meaning. But with it, even silence feels intimate, because when a woman feels respected, she doesn't just stay, she flourishes. And that is the kind of love that stands the test of time.